doctor. Oh. Good evening, everybody. This is CyricZ. This isn't Lost Judgment. What the heck? Where are we? Who's this guy? Oh no. Everybody, this is CyricZ, and I'm back from a 2-week vacation in Japan. Glorious Nippon. Me, CyricZ, finally made the pilgrimage out there. And to put off playing Lost Judgment for just a little bit longer, but maybe just have a little bit of fun tonight, we're going to start by kind of going through a virtual yet descriptive tour of what I was up to when I was out in Japan. So I had to, of course, find a way to get my butt to Sotenbori. I considered doing it with Ichiban's gang and frickin' and Yakuza Like a Dragon, but it's like, that wasn't like the full Sotenbori, and remember in Gaiden they actually made the entire Sotenbori again, so I figured I had to use that. And we're starting in Sotenbori because, I mean, technically when I started my Japan trip, I stayed in Tokyo for a few nights, but then I did a 5-night stint in Osaka. So I kind of want to talk about it that way. I mean, we can begin by talking about like the trip first. Like, I don't want to go necessarily day by day, but I do want to hit the highlights. Like, the trip down, I'll tell you that I have a direct flight. Had a direct flight from Boston to Narita. That sucker was 14 hours long. That is not for the weak of heart. Like, it's not just, you know, staying awake or trying to get sleep or anything, but it's just like your butt is in a seat for so long, and then your butt starts being like, I don't want to be in the seat anymore. And then you're like, can you have not a problem with this? Can you just chill? And the butt's like, God, I just want to have pains. And you're like, man, this plane is getting kind of cramped. So, you know, it's not the funnest. It's not the funnest trip, especially if you go direct. Oh God, who are these guys? Can I just stand here and not fight? No, I can't stand here and not fight. So, the actual trip was... Ow. The actual trip was a bit stressful, but once I was actually in Japan, it was a little bit easier. The important thing to know too, like when you go to Narita, for those of you who are traveling to Japan, there's like your choice of Narita or Haneda airports in Tokyo, and you can also, there's like Osaka International Airport too, but I chose Narita, and there was a caution on that, because the thing about Narita is it is at the ass end of nowhere almost. Like, they say it's in Tokyo, but it's really like at the very far east end of Chiba, which I guess counts tangentially as Tokyo, but really it's like you land in the airport and then you have like another hour-long ride by the fast train if you want to actually be downtown, so it's a lot. One thing they definitely don't have in real Japan is Wild Jackson. In fact, they don't really have much of anything like that. They do have, like, I mean, it's funny too, because you look at these sandwiches here. In Japan, they'd be calling these burgers. Like, actually, you can see it. You can see it right here. It says, like, wild chicken burger, wild avocado burger. And, it's funny, because if you have, like, chicken sandwiches or fish sandwiches, but it's between, like, hamburger rolls, they will call it a burger, which is, that's unique compared to the West, I guess, which is kind of funny. But no Wild Jackson in real life. But yeah, like I said, my first few days were actually in Tokyo, mostly getting my bearings, readjusting my sleep schedule. I was staying for the first few days in a Live Max hotel. If you've never been in one of those, they're basically kind of like business hotels. They might have better versions, but the one I stayed in was on the northeast corner of Shinjuku. Northeast corner past Kabukicho. Shinjuku is actually pretty big, and Kabukicho is kind of in the west area of it. But the point I'm trying to make is I was like in the northeast part of Kabukicho, and it wasn't a very complete hotel. Like, it was bare bones. It was a 2-star hotel. It was bare bones. Like, your room's basically a cell with just like the bed, a tiny, tiny desk space where you can put a laptop maybe, and then of course the bathroom, which is almost like a standard pod style bathroom where you have a, obviously the separate door, but it feels like you're stepping up into the bathroom, where you have the small bath and the toilet. But yeah, it served its purpose, but it wasn't especially what I'd call vacation style hotel. It's really designed as a business hotel. I forgot when I was setting this up how big the encounter size in Gaiden can get. That's 9 guys over there, and we'll have to leave them to their business. We'll probably go around a little bit later, but let me just quick go through my notes here because I have a bunch of notes. But yeah, when I went in from Narita to Tokyo, I took the Skyliner train. I recommend it, not only because it's fast, but also because it is like a front-facing sit-down train rather than the common trains in Japan where you have to sit on the sides or stand up. I didn't want to have to be standing up. Even though I was getting off a 14-hour flight, I didn't want to stand up. So I took the Skyliner in, checked in my hotel in Shinjuku, quick hopped over to Kabukicho and take some pictures of the gate and so forth, and then go back to bed, basically. Yeah, and then the next couple of days, actually, we're kind of picking up supplies because there are a couple of things I forgot. In particular, I forgot to get, like, shorts for sleeping in, because I like to have shorts for sleeping in. But the funny thing about Japan is it's actually kind of tough to find things like little bike shorts. I searched like 5 different stores in the Shinjuku area. I eventually found one. Where did I find them? I found it at Depot Sports, which is in the southwest part, past Kabukicho. And they have like sports clothes where, I bought like a t-shirt and bike shorts. Ones that fit me too, of course, because I'm not a small person. And the problem with me ever going clothes shopping in Japan is nothing will fit me unless it's a large size person's store. So that is something that I had to deal with. What else? Yeah, the Isaten Mall didn't work, the Uniqlo didn't work, the Murasaki Sports didn't work, the Lululemon didn't work. I even went to a cycling specialty store to see if I can find some bike shorts called Wise Cycling. I mean, they had some shorts, but I'm pretty sure they weren't in my size, and also they were almost like $70. And I'm like, not that important for sleeping, I don't think. Let's see. Oh, here's another funny one. I actually had, I'm calling it the 2,000 yen note incident. Now, if you guys remember, there is a sub-story. Whoa! There is a sub-story in Kiwami, and I think it's also in Yakuza 1 too, where they discuss the 2,000 yen note, which was printed at the turn of the millennium. Once, basically, like one major set of these bills were printed, and the thing is, though, when I got the yen I was planning on have during the trip, I got it from my bank at home. So they supplied me with, I just transferred from my account and picked it up at a bank branch, and they gave me, tens, fives, 2,000s, and 1,000s. So I had a mix there, but the thing is, 2,000 does not circulate much in Japan, because they only ran the 2,000 yen printing for the millennium, and that was it. So I actually went to a konbini to spend my 2,000 yen. I went to a Lawson or a Family Mart, probably a Family Mart, I think, and presented my 2,000 yen to the lady at the counter once I bought my stuff, and she said, "I'm sorry, this is not Japanese yen," which is not true, but she did not appear to be a local Japanese person. She might have been an immigrant, which suggests to me that she had been, recently came to Japan and just didn't know that the 2,000 yen note existed, and that's a reality they actually bring up during that Kiwami sub-story for the 2,000 yen note, is that some people don't even know they exist, especially young people or immigrants. So that was an interesting thing. I ended up using it elsewhere, like other places recognize them. That was just a one-off kind of thing. But, yeah, this is now a time to go talking about the konbini, which is, of course, the greatest place on the earth, is where you can find all the cool stuff, the best chip, the asamesi, and so forth. But yeah, this is basically almost to the hilt what your average konbini is in Japan, whether it's in Tokyo or Osaka. They got a copier, they got an ATM, they got a magazine rack, they got a manga rack, they've got the cold area where all the Haagen-Dazs is. This is Haagen-Dazs ice cream, by the way, even though it says Shiro on it. It's very clearly meant to look like Haagen-Dazs. Other frozen stuff. Then they got the drinks over here. So you've got not just the soft drinks, but also the hard drinks as well. So you'll find those, and then you go over to here where all the prepared foods are, which is where you'll find like your yakisoba, your bentos, and of course a nice big shelf of onigiri. I'm a big fan of onigiri, so I was always picking these up. I will say too, that especially early on in my vacation, I kind of ate like crap because I was just wanting to try all the snacks at the konbini, and that probably wasn't too healthy for me. But yeah, all the different potato chips, all the different little potato stick things, the Calbee potato sticks, maybe some candies, maybe some chocolates. Yeah, I ate like crap the first few days, absolutely. But yeah, and over here at the front is where the hot stuff is. You can have them heat it up. This is where the oden is, so that's where they can prepare like oden for you. I didn't have any oden myself. I didn't bother with the hot stuff. It was just like, for those of you who don't know, I've taken like a year and a half of Japanese back in college, but I'm not super confident in my Japanese skills, so I try to keep the conversations limited if I can help it. Plenty of umbrellas too, by the way. In every convenience store, you'll always find an umbrella because it tends to rain without warning in Japan. I actually did not bring an umbrella with me. I bought my umbrellas. I left one at the Osaka hotel and one at the Tokyo hotel, so that was my use of those. So. Hello, Brand Shen, the bread with chocolate chips in it. Oh, I have not tried the bread with chocolate chips in it. I tried to try a bunch of different bread products. I tried the pancakes with the margarine in them. I tried, I was a big fan of the hot dogs, or basically like the baked rolls with sausages in them. I was, for some reason, a really big fan of that, which also was not a healthy option, but I took that anyway. So that was a big snack of mine. So, let's see, where are my notes here? We got a few days in. I did actually do breakfast typically at the nearby McDonald's, just because McDonald's just have unique things that you're not going to get at home, and it's important, I felt, on my experience too, not just to have only Japanese native food, but also I wanted to see some of the takes Japan had on Western food as well. I did want to hear that. Question: Japan must have so many trashed umbrellas. I saw so many in the trash after the rain. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's a thing. Difficult to, obviously a lot of people I saw had their own umbrellas, but people were walking around with the cheapy ones you get from the konbini as well. So, I obviously didn't throw them on the street. I left them in the hotel for them to dispose of later, and I don't think that was a big problem, but it does bring an idea, too, of, like, what do you do with your trash in Japan? And that's one of the big things to deal with whenever you're going to Japan for the first time, is that you will find that there are very few public trash cans around. The general expectation is that instead of finding a trash can to throw your trash out, you will instead take that trash home with you and dispose it either at your home or your hotel or whatever. Now, you will find these cans here next to vending machines for what I think would be obvious reasons, but yeah, the idea is you can put glass bottles or cans or PET bottles in there as well, the plastic bottles, and those are usually right next to a vending machine. There are also sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes, trash cans next to the konbinis themselves. Now, usually it's kind of frowned on to use a konbini solely to just throw out your trash. You're kind of expected, to partake and then throw trash out there. But, yeah. There's also like trash cans in the train stations too. So while it's difficult, it's not impossible to find public trash cans. You can find them if you're persistent enough, and if you ask around too. Sometimes people will just say, "Hey, yeah, there's a trash can in the konbini or over there," or what have you. So that was covering, I think, basically my mostly my first few Tokyo days. The only other thing I'd want to talk about for Tokyo at the moment is I found, actually no, I'm going to wait till I actually go to Tokyo, and then we'll talk about that. So what we're going to jump to now is my trip over to Osaka. I took the Shinkansen down, of course I did. So that's not actually very cheap. That's about $60 each way. So it's interesting how, you know, a lot of the PT in Japan is pretty cheap. If you're going from one spot in Tokyo to another spot, it's probably going to be about a couple of bucks, or 200 or 300 yen. But the Shinkansen itself is a little more on the expensive side. But I took that, went to Shinosaka Station, and then I took the so Shinosaka Station would be way up here past the north end of here, because there's a whole bunch more of Osaka to the north here. Shinbashi is up there. Umeda's up there. But that's also where Shinosaka Station is as well. And from there, you can hop on the Osaka Metro, and that can take you south over to this district, which collectively is called the Nanba District, which is funny, because it made me think of Nanba all the time. But the Nanba Station's a little bit out to the west from here. And this is also roughly where my hotel was for staying in Osaka. Now, I will say the hotel I stayed at was called the Hotel K6 in Dotonbori. And I want you guys to remember that when you think of whether or not you want to stay in Osaka or not, because that place is great. That place is great value. They give you a lot of amenities. They take care of you. Breakfast is free. The rooms are actually quite sizable. They actually almost feel like the size of your average Western hotel room, some of them bigger. The room I was staying in not only had an entryway, which had a separate toilet and a separate bath on the side, it also had a completely separate room for the bedroom as well, which I just picked a two double bed, whatever. I ended up using one, but it's actually a very nice place to stay. I fully recommend it. Hotel K6 in Osaka, Dotonbori, if you want to stay in Osaka. But yeah, I will say that a fair bit of my time in Osaka was spent in this very area, in what is actually real-life Dotonbori. So, funny thing about Sotenbori, the Like a Dragon analog, is that I didn't know this until like a couple of months ago when I was doing research on where to go in Dotonbori, but Dotonbori is actually, maybe from here to around to here, like where the bridges end, it is 180 degrees rotated. So all this stuff, all this fancy stuff you see here on the north side of the canal in Sotenbori, it's actually on the south side of the canal in real life Dotonbori, whereas stuff that's here is actually up here on the north side in real life. It's funny, and it's very weird to me that they would have made that choice. But like over here, off this bridge is where the Gallico ad is, the famous neon signs, but they put them over here in the Yakuza series, which I think is an interesting and odd choice. But so Dotonbori is where I spent a lot of time, and yeah, it looks pretty much like this. One of the nice things about where I was staying was like it was maybe a 3-minute walk till I hit the main dragon Dotonbori, which made for nice, easy transit and just constantly going over to the main drag area so I can see all the cool stuff. But all the restaurants are here. It's very nice. But again, this was rotated, so if if we're thinking about the real life, I'm actually at the southeast part of the area right now, even though the mask has them in the northwest. So we'll just kind of keep that in mind as we go through. But a lot of these things are in the same. There's no giant cabaret club. I will say there's none of that. But once you get to here, the Kinryu Ramen, this is here. This is real. This is where this is. It's got the seats outside. It's got all this. It's got a dude hanging outside waiting to take your order and everything. It's got all that. I definitely saw pachinko places. Patchy slot places were here. I didn't see anything that looks exactly like this, but patchy slot exists around here. Of course, drugstores are everywhere. This Daikoku or Tsuruha? I forget it. This is Tsuruha. I'm pretty sure this is a real place, a real brand and stuff. So yeah, and drugstores are what you'd expect. They're not quite konbini. They're drugstores, so they have toiletries and medicine and so forth. Konbini is where you're going to find more of the food. And then what else? The Kushikatsu Daruma. That's real. I went there. This is totally here. Kushikatsu is, in case you guys need a refresher, Kushikatsu is deep fried stuff on skewers. Various crap goes on skewers, and you get it in a set or you get it individually. I picked up a set. I believe I got the smaller set because this one's got different Kushikatsu. What did I get? Because it had all the basic stuff was in it. So I had the beef. I had the quail eggs. There was vegetables. I can't remember if it was asparagus or onion or whatever. I'm pretty sure it was an octopus too. The whiting fish, I think so. Definitely a lotus root was in there. Chicken was in there. Meatballs were in there. Cheese, straight up cheese. The shrimp was there as well. I could not get through the shrimp because that is a whole shrimp with all the pieces on it, and I'm not a big fan of shrimp. But yeah, I had a full meal of Kushikatsu. That was good stuff. Octopuses everywhere. I mean, I feel like this is meant to be on Kukuru. I forget. Is Kukuru here? Kukuru is here. Kukuru's a real brand too. We'll hop over there in a minute. There wasn't really a golf center in the area that I remember. Pretty sure there was a Gyukaku, but I can't remember exactly if it was in this spot or elsewhere. But yeah, here's another one. So Taro-san here is a real thing. He's just a dude who's hanging out, drumming his drum and doing his stuff. So I read up on Taro-san, and he's actually a mascot for a restaurant that no longer exists. So the restaurant used to be, what is it? I'm trying to read the side of the drum here. Kui Daone or something like that. But the restaurant closed down some time ago, but they decided Taro-san was too important to the city to remove him. So now instead he's more of a souvenir attraction because he's got like a souvenir shop where he's got some branded goods inside. So I wonder if like this here is meant to be like his restaurant that still exists and yet it doesn't anymore. More of a tribute rather than anything else. Steakhouse. There are actual steakhouses there, but Hungry Thomas is not real. That's big. Question: did I get some okonomiyaki? I definitely got some okonomiyaki. The place I went to was near my hotel, very near my hotel, out this way, very close to it actually. And it was called OKO Fun Okonomiyaki. It is a okonomiyaki restaurant that only opens for dinner. So it's like 5 to, I don't know, 1 or 2 or something like that. I don't know how long it's open. 5 p.m. to 2 a.m., something like that. It is a one-woman operation. So despite having, basically a full restaurant with like, ordering and drinks and stuff upstairs, places upstairs to sit, it's one lady there, Shiho-chan. She is a very nice lady, and the place is incredibly Western friendly because they have a very specific recipe for the okonomiyaki, the potato pancakes themselves, that is gluten-free. That is one of their big draws, is that I wanted to give it a shot. So she has a whole bunch of different kinds of okonomiyaki for like toppings and the like. So I had one with mentaiko on it because I haven't really tried mentaiko, which is just fish eggs. But that was pretty tasty and very Western friendly. Shiho-chan speaks enough English to get by, and she has a whole bunch of messages scrawled all over the wall in the restaurant in English. Her messages of love to all her fans and everything. So that was a nice, cute stop. But yeah, OKO Fun Okonomiyaki in Dotonbori is where I stayed there. That's where I went there for a dinner one night. Gyoza, yep, that exists. Gyoza King totally exists. You can pick up your gyoza at a gyoza place, or you can pick up gyoza at a lot of places. A lot of places will just have gyoza on top of other kinds of things. What else we got? Ganko sushi is also real. That face and everything. I did not try out Ganko sushi, but you definitely walk by it. Lots of other stuff on the main drag. So those of you who remember, Club Sega is now completely defunct now. They sold off, Sega Sammy sold off all their arcade holdings, and all Club Sega are now Gigo. G-I-G-O. Get into the gaming oasis is what they're called. And for those of you who don't know, have you ever been to an arcade in Japan? For one, they're a lot bigger than this. They are usually either a big, wide building, set of area, or multi-floor, or both. So what you will get as soon as you walk into a Japanese arcade is UFO catcher after UFO catcher after UFO catcher, an entire floor of UFO catchers, crane games, sometimes multiple floors of UFO catchers. If you want to play games on a Velocity cabinet or writing games or something like that, you will usually have to go to a different floor because they are usually out of the way. Also, too, especially in Tokyo and Osaka, possibly not elsewhere, but usually, regardless of which arcade you go to, you will find a lot of the same stuff. You will, again, find one or two floors of crane games. Then you'll find a floor that's just rhythm games. Then you'll find a floor that's maybe more modern arcade games. For example, pretty sure I found House of the Dead Scarlet Dawn in just about every arcade I attempted to go to. Didn't see Wonderland Wars, but House of the Dead Scarlet Dawn was in there. Every so often I'll find some ones with fighting games like Virtua Fighter or King of Fighters, something like that. But yeah, what you'll find is modern stuff. You will not find very many old games unless you're going to very specific arcades. So that's your game centers. Also, you'll find spots in the game centers that'll have floors with print circle, floors with cosplay, so people can get into cosplay outfits and dress up for the print circle booths. So very, very standard for the most part, except for a couple of examples, and I'll talk about those in a little bit, especially once we go back to Tokyo. I don't know who this guy is. I don't recall seeing anything like him. This, though, well, I'm sure you all know Kanidoraku is real. I'm not a huge seafood or crab fan, so I actually decided not to stop in Kanidoraku and just pass on that. But yeah, this is very much exactly as you see it, but as I mentioned earlier, Dotonbori is 180 degrees rotated, so in actual Dotonbori, Kanidoraku is down here. So you're going to be going down that place. Other things. Oh, yes. Also in Japanese arcades are Mahjong Fight Club games. So I played a fair bit of both Mahjong Fight Club Union, which is the most recent edition, and the previous edition, which is Mahjong Fight Girl. I played a lot of Mahjong Fight Girl, and I will say the difference is that when you're playing the regular Mahjong Fight Club games, it feels stuffier. It feels like for the old guys. It feels like a professional setup and everything. When you're playing Mahjong Fight Girl, you're having fun. You're actually having fun because you're playing with your waifus. They're all making the little comments and dancing around and everything, and it's just far more fun. So I played more Mahjong Fight Girl than anything else. Anything else going on over here? No, this is Kabuki Theater here. I will say I wasn't really looking for him, but I'm pretty sure there's got to have been some theaters around Dotonbori, but there weren't really on the main drag, though. The main drag was mostly just your food shops, your souvenir shops, a couple of Gigos, and that was it. So here's the Kukuru. I had lunch. I had Kukuru lunch a couple times. Not listed here, but what I had was basically kind of like a variety pack. 12 takoyaki and 4 different flavors of 3 each. So that was fun. But I will say the problem with takoyaki is if you consume it too quickly, you will burn your mouth, and you will cut down on your enjoyment of the remainder of the takoyaki, so you won't be able to taste the damn thing. So take care when having takoyaki, folks. Make sure it's cooled down sufficiently for your tastes. Come here. Out you go. Yeah, there he is. Alright. Forget about the spider, baby. Don't forget about the spider. Don't forget about the serpent. My super shoes. Yep, quite pricey. But yeah, What else? So like I said, it's all kind of rotated. So one thing you can see too, going off the edge of the map here. I probably can see one over here. So you see like there's overhangs here, like there's like overhang areas. These malls are kind of everywhere. Like these outdoor malls, like there's one like labeled as Bonsai Mountain Outdoor Mall down here, but off the main Dragon Dotonbori are a bunch of these mall paths, which have clothing stores, souvenir stores, more restaurants, bars, etc. A lot of the kind of the same stuff, just different brands, different chains, whatever. Here's Bonsai Mountain Outdoor Mall, and again, more of the same, just all kinds of stuff on the side of the walls here. Ow. See you later, brother! So, once you're at the north side of the canal, there's less that I think is actually tourist related. I mean, there's some more stuff, but I will say once you actually get to the north side beyond the borders here, you're getting more into like basic business stuff. You will find plenty of secondhand clothing outlets. Some of them on the streets, some of them in stores, but secondhand clothing's a big deal in various areas of the cities. All right. Questions going on here. Did I go to any Manzai clubs? I did not. No, I wanted to at least do things I could, understand. Unfortunately, my Japanese is not good enough to understand Manzai comedy. But, yeah, more takoyaki, big things. I think I remember taking a picture of a takoyaki model on the wall there. And then once you go south of Dotonbori, there is a lot of just like I said, the overhang malls, but also side streets with bars. So I did some exploring there. Once you get like way down here, there's a round 1 down here, and that's where I played the most of my Mahjong Fight Girl that I was playing during my visit. But at that point, it's just a lot of the same, kind of just paths and stores and stuff. Not very many of these big, gigantic, fancy clubs like you see here with 4-Star and all that. Oh, sorry, 4Shine. No dudes hanging on the side of the street playing shogi, unfortunately. And there are hotels, too. Every so often you'll see, like, a love hotel. But, more of the hotels are mostly for tourism, quite frankly. They're just, hey, stay here on your trip to Osaka. So, I'd say, honestly, that covers most of it for Osaka. This doesn't exist, by the way. There's no small triangular park. At least not that I could found. One thing I will say, though, the other place I went to in Osaka was Shinsekai, which is down here, way down here. So you remember, folks of you who remember the PS2 Yakuza 2, they had another extra district of Kiwami-2 cut. It was called Shinseicho in Yakuza 2, but it's based on Shinsekai, and it's essentially a shopping area, kind of a carnival-type shopping area that is near Tsutentaku Tower, which is in Yakuza 2 also, but that got cut from Kiwami 2. So I went there, and I said carnival, so a lot of the things you'll see, in addition to eating areas, in addition to souvenir shops, you will also see a bunch of carnival game stalls. So you got the carnival game stalls where you have the air rifles with corks that you can use to knock things over. You have the carnival stall where you are throwing shuriken at targets, and you have the carnival stall where you are shooting arrows with a bow at targets. And that was fun. Spent some fun time there playing the games, got some little kitty prizes, but just for the experience, And that's not cheap, by the way, either. That's like 500 yen per play, which is a lot. It seems a lot, anyway, for the lame little prizes you can get. But I had to do it for the experience, right? So, what else for what else for Osaka area? So, I did do 2, let's call them excursions when I was in the Osaka area. One of them is I went to Nara, and Nara's way off to the east here, about a good half-hour train ride from the Nanda station. You go out east to the suburb Nara out in Osaka. For some reason, I thought the Nara area was like a park almost out in the woods or in the wilderness. Oh, it's not. It's a park in the middle of the suburbs. Like, you could step off the park and end up in suburbia. But once you're in the park, that's a special park because that is the park where the sacred deer are. Those are deer that are wandering around the park, and that's basically all they do. They are used to humans, so they'll just walk around you. They'll hang out. They'll check you out. And of course, for those of you who don't know, that you can buy deer crackers, which are basically unseasoned senbei, and feed them to the deer. And there's a cute little what do you call it? Conditioned response they have is that if you bow to the deer while holding one of the shika senbei, they will bow back to you because obviously they're expecting to be fed. So they will play the part of the fool just for fun. But I spent a couple hours there. I didn't spend too much time because I will say on the previous day I wrenched my ankle doing a particular event, which I'm going to talk about in a second. But I wrenched my ankle and was feeling it pretty much the rest of the week and a little bit into the following week. It got better over the course of my vacation, but it made it really difficult to get around, and especially climbing stairs. And there are a lot of stairs in Japan, so lesson for next time: don't engage in activities that might wrench your ankle because you need to be able to walk in this kind of place. But so Nara I did, and then the other thing, which is where I wrenched my ankle, I went to Universal Studios Japan. So that was a fun little trip. That is out west near the water. And that is about 20 minutes away. It's not honestly that far from downtown Osaka or Dotonbori area. It's pretty close by, honestly. But Universal Studios Japan is, of course, a theme park, a Western-style theme park. So if you've been to Universal Studios before, or even Disneyland, you kind of get the idea. It's basically focused around, several theme areas. So they've got one for Jaws, they got one for Waterworld, they got one for Jurassic Park. I did go on the Jurassic Park boat ride. That was fun. I'm not much of a roller coaster guy, so I skipped the roller coasters. But there is, of course, Super Nintendo World. Funny thing about Super Nintendo World is it's extremely popular, so they don't let you in unless you get like an area ticket. And it doesn't cost anything. It's just basically booking time for yourself and saying, hey, can I enter Super Nintendo World at 1:30 to 2:30? And they'll let you in. They'll check for your QR code and everything because Super Nintendo World is an incredibly popular draw. It's not a very big space though, so I get the idea that if everyone's crowding Super Nintendo Worlds, it's gonna be nasty there. It's gonna be a massive choke of people, and it's probably gonna be dangerous. So yeah, booked my time, went to Super Nintendo World, went to the Mario Kart ride, which is quite the trip. It isn't as completely involved as you might think, but they've kind of compensated for that a bit. At the end of the day, it is a pretty slow-moving ride on its own track, but what you're doing is you also have augmented reality goggles you wear that also plays like scenes of racers and obstacles and stuff that you can shoot shells at. So while you're, riding around your little slow-moving track, you're also shooting shells in your little AR game. But yeah, that was a fun time too. And I stopped by the little Donkey Kong area as well. Had a nice little banana sundae there. That was great. But the really fun thing that I really enjoyed going to going to Universal Studios Japan was there was a Detective Conan escape room. Now, for those of you not familiar, Detective Conan is an incredibly popular anime and manga in Japan. It's like in its fourth decade, I think, of being a thing. And they're still coming out with anime and movies, too. So they have a movie coming out in a couple months. Actually, I think it's a little later in April. And they had an escape room experience at Universal Studios Japan, which runs since January and will be running until the end of June. But it is essentially a puzzle game experience, much like your average escape room. And how it's set up is basically people go into a small theater area and you go into teams of two. And every team of two gets a tablet. And then you sit down and you get the opening spiel. They have actors who play Ron and Sonoka and Sarah and Kogoro. The Kogoro Mori, also known as Richard Moore, if you're referring to the English versions. But those actors were great. I will say they gave it their all, especially the guy who was playing Kogoro Mori. He was fantastic. I was very smitten by his performance. But the whole deal is that you're basically guests in a showing at a digital tech lab. And, obviously for Universal Studios' sake, it's in like a soundstage area, but it's built inside as if it were some kind of digital tech lab. And what you do is, once the mystery starts happening, you have to take your tablet and go into side rooms and up and down stairs on different floors and solve puzzles. The tablet tells you where to go, and you go to the room and solve the puzzle that's in there using the tablet, and then you move on to the next one, and you just kind of progress from there, solving each puzzle in turn. Like, I wrenched my ankle because I was getting too excited, and I was probably running up and down the stairs a little too more forcefully than I should have. So, lesson learned on that. You should take it easy on the stairs, not get too excited. But I will say, I did quite good at the puzzles. I was very proud of myself. Once you finish, you go back to the main theater room. Actually, you go to a second theater room that's designed to look like the same as the first theater room, but it's actually a different space. I love how they do that. I love when they kind of trick you and think you're back in the first place when you're actually in a different space, but that's fine. And there is basically where you get the denouement of the mystery. The live action characters come back. Conan also shows up as like an animated Conan on the back wall. And he does his little thing where he darts Kogoro Mori and does his little spiel through his bow tie. He kicks a soccer ball, and the soccer ball is actually like a giant soccer ball that travels along the back wall of the theater. It was a hoot. But at the end of it all, we got ranked on how well we did. And your old pal CyricZ, out of like dozens who were playing, got 5th place, which I'm pretty proud of. And I'm especially proud of it, too, because the people who placed before me in 1st through 4th, the names they used were all Detective Conan character names. So either these people were plants to keep things, exciting, or they're people they're like Conan mega fans who may have done this attraction before. So I'm feeling pretty proud about my accomplishment there. I actually got to talking with a fella there who knew some English. Shout outs to Wanri Mori san. He's a young gentleman, high school or college, I couldn't quite tell, but he was right behind me in the rankings as well. So nice guy. We talked about Detective Conan. We talked about the puzzles and everything. I will say, too, that if you're doing this Detective Conan thing, probably the key element is that it is multilingual friendly. Now, while the presentation and all the theater things are straight up in Japanese without subtitles, you are given basically, in your tablet, you can pick your language, and it also gives you basically the idea of an opening story and an ending story. They'll have little buttons you can hit where you can reference those, where basically you're given the idea of what they're saying on the stage, even if you can't follow them directly, not knowing Japanese. So that was, it fits that a person who only speaks English can also go through this experience and get the gist of it anyway. But yeah, it does help to be a Detective Conan fan. But yeah, that was Universal Studios Japan. I had a lot of fun there. That was great. Definitely recommend it, especially if you do some of the separate stuff. But that was, by and large, I think, my trip to Osaka. So that, I would say, could stop what we're doing right here, and we're going to go back to the title screen. Actually, I don't even have to do that. Forget it. I don't even need to save. I'm just going to switch right over to Lost Judgment. Just go right from here. Because now we have to go to the other locations. And I can only go to Sotenbori and Gaiden. There's a little bit of Ijincho I can go in, but it's not I can go to all of Ijincho here. But yes, now we're finally going back to Lost Judgment. Because this is when we can start talking about the Tokyo stuff, and we can start talking about my day trip to Yokohama. So, back to Lost Judgment. Alright, where are we? Why, we're right here at the gates. So, yeah, Kabukicho is where I stayed. Like I said, when I was first here, I stayed in a hotel which is like way out here on the right, the northeast. That was a Live Max. I don't really recommend that. But when I was staying for my next 6 days, which was like my proper Tokyo visiting time, I was basically up here at the top of Kabukicho, which is Nanachome. So it's funny here. They got Shichifuku Street, which basically means 7th Street. And there actually is a 7th Street in Kabukicho, but it's actually kind of the main drag that makes the northern border of Kabukicho. So it's a little different that way, but that is where my hotel was. So I stayed in an Appa Hotel. If you have, Appa Hotel have been featured in like a dragon game, so no stranger to that. Some people say Appa Hotel has like a weird, I don't know, I don't want to say cult-like, but like they're trying to keep you with Appa Hotels forever or something. I mean, at the end of the day, it was a fine hotel. It wasn't nearly as good as the K6 in Osaka. It was more like the Live Max, at least in space, but it had better amenities. It was a better setup, at least a little bit. So Appa Hotels aren't too bad to stay in if you're staying in Shinjuku. So yeah, for those of you who aren't familiar, Kabukicho is basically the real-life version of Kamurocho. It is occupying a part of the Shinjuku district. So when you first get to Shinjuku, you will likely get here by Shinjuku Station. That is that away, up a couple of blocks. And there's like a whole bunch of Shinjuku here as well that is not technically part of Kabukicho. But Shinjuku Station's beyond that. And over here, it's funny because I never really remembered whether they were here or not. But yeah, these train lines here, that's real. Those are really there. That is basically the Yamanote line and the Seibu Shinjuku line are down the west side here of Kabukicho. But yeah, if you're coming to Kabukicho, not Kamurocho, but Kabukicho, you'll be crossing here, or you can cross over by the Central Street. So, Central Street is what it's known as in real life. Here in the Like a Dragon game, it's called Nakamichi Street. This is the main flashy drag. It's also called Godzilla Street because it ends over here at the Toho Theater, as opposed to the Camero Theater, which is what the Like a Dragon version of it is. But yeah, Godzilla is sticking out of this theater over here, and this is the Hotel Gracery Hotel. It's not the Millennium Tower. It's not business. It's just a big-ass hotel. It's a 4-star hotel, so if you're looking to pay money, I hear the Hotel Gracery is okay to stay in. And it's right in the middle of it, too. So you're right in the middle of Kabukicho. You're not far from Shinjuku Station. A nice centralized location. This is another crossing over the other side to the south part of Shinjuku. That game center is not really there. I mean, there are game centers. There's a Taito Game Station, but that's actually kind of over here where that actually is. And then you can go over here. This is real, by the way, too. This underground mall here. This actually connects to the station as well. So you can go through these underground tunnels and walk to the station, too, is another way of getting there. But yeah, and there's also Sakuradori, or in this game's Pink Street. And that is where there are more bars and more clubs. I will say, I mean, I wasn't looking very closely or trying to interpret too many things, but I feel more than anything else were bars and girls' bars here. I didn't see too much in the way of cabaret clubs. That's not to say that they are not there, but yeah, there were like a couple cabaret clubs I could spot. Most of the things involving ladies were girls' bars. But I will say, especially at the north end, there are like a billion host clubs. Like, you guys are probably familiar with this parking lot over here that has the bunch of the hot boys on there, and I could probably just taxi over there just so we can check it out. But here we go. Yeah, let's hop over here. Question, is Don Quixote a police station? No, Don Quixote is straight up just Don Quixote, and it's been that way for years. But yeah, this is all real. This parking lot here with the billboards on it, the only thing that's really different or distinct is that like one of the billboards has Kiryu and Mine on it. Even though, obviously they're not available hosts to call on, they are featured in these billboards as well. One of the things about Kabukicho is they know they have connections to the Like a Dragon series, so you will find elements of the Like a Dragon series hanging around there. What else? Let's taxi around a little bit more here. Yeah, the Don Quixote. as before, is, you know, still here. It's a multi-level Don Quixote, so the fact that it doesn't seem very big belies the fact that it's actually multi-story. It's like about 7 stories, so you'll find different, products on each floor. Where else can I go? Might have been a little rambunctious just to teleport right here immediately, but let's see. So Senryo Ab's over here in Kamurocho. This is the place that connects to Golden Guy. So the funny thing about GoldenEye, it's kind of like sandwiched a little too close to the Hotel Gracery right here. Golden Guy is actually maybe 2 or 3 blocks out further east from here. That is where that is what the real life Champion District is, and of course that is a and buy Kit Kats. It's a nice cheap place to buy luggage. You can get Kit Kats. Yeah, you can get a lot of things at Don Quixote. A lot of kinds of travel needs you can get there as well. But yeah, this drag right here is essentially where a lot of the, I would say, shadier bars on there. It's very interesting, actually. I mean, the barkers will be out in force, like past 8 p.m. You'll see the barkers out there. But a lot of the barkers nowadays are African immigrants, which it's odd, but yeah, it's kind of interesting. Like all that bars in that little drag there, at least the barkers outside are African immigrants, which is unique, certainly. But yeah, obviously this is the entrance to the Champion District. Golden Guy actually has like a west and an east entrance instead of a west and a south. But yeah, we go over in Champion District all the time. As you can see, going through here, it's just a bunch of tiny, tiny bars. And when I say tiny, I mean tiny. They only fit like maybe 6 or 7 people at the most. Much smaller than, say, Earth Angel here. Like, you won't... Like, your average Golden Guy bar is basically here, past the bar, all the way to here, and that's it. And there's just enough room for you to sit your ass on a table in front of the bar. But this is extra. This never shows up in a Golden Guy bar over here. All these seating areas, forget that. You get a door, you get a bar, you get your bartender, and that's it. You maybe get a bathroom in the back. Yeah. But, yes, that's Golden Guy. So, I will tell you, though, it was recommended to me by Dr. Baishui on Twitter. She follows me as well, and she's been before, so she gave me some ideas. The place that I ended up haunting was called Ace's Music Salon. So, remember that, folks. ACE' Music Salon in Golden Guy. It is run by a fella who has spent... He spent some years during his schooling in Denver, Colorado. So he is actually, he speaks English quite well. I mean, he's not a native speaker. So, I mean, or rather, he's not, I wouldn't say he's super fluent, because it's been a while since he's been back. He said it's been about 10 years since he's been back in the States. But he speaks English well enough, and what you'll find in Ace's Music Salon is it's where a lot of Western tourists will gravitate towards. So since I was traveling alone, it sometimes gets tough to have a conversation because, I don't speak Japanese all that well. So it was nice to be able to go to a bar and speak to people where I could carry on a conversation in English, and not just with the bartender, but also with the tourists who were coming in as well. I met a bunch of European tourists, several tourists from America, including a few from my home state of New Hampshire, which is wild. But, yeah. Also, some folks from Indian and other Asian countries will come in as well. But yes, Ace's Music Salon, no cover charge, opens at 8, stays open till 4. I didn't stay till 4. I'm old, so you can't actually ask me to do that. But the bartender's a really cool guy. They've got music going. They've got some awesome movie will be on the TV. During the night. We had Blade Runner one night, then we had freaking Carlito's Way and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood another night. But yeah, that was a great time. I wasn't even there to get super drunk or anything. I just wanted a place to hang out, get a little drunk, and chat with people. Yeah, the music was great. It was eclectic. Some of it's Western, some of it's Eastern. Eclectic set really. But yeah, once again, Ace's Music Salon. Don't look for a shingle on the high wall. Look for a sandwich board on the ground, because that is where that's going to show up. You can find it on Google Maps, but yeah, just make sure when you're looking for it that you look down, not up. Golden Guy, where all the tiny bars are. And the distinctive thing about GoldenEye, I learned this later, is that it is a very much a location that is run by its people. Like, there have been efforts to renovate Golden Guy in the past, and because the area is collectively owned by the bar owners in the area, they are resisting any kind of modernization or change. So it really does equivocate. It's equal to how it was back in like the 60s and 70s, which is really nice. But yeah, looking up in Kabukicho, you'll see all these kinds of billboards for whatever, mostly host clubs in this part of the area. No Shangri-La, that doesn't exist. There are probably some soaplands around. But again, you gotta remember too that apart from GoldenEye, a lot of Kabukicho, like a lot of Japan and Tokyo itself, gets modernized on the regular. So some places that you'd think would be old and hanging around there are now gone because of modernization. Kamurocho Hills is fake, by the way. There's nothing like this in Kabukicho. Past this north and east area is just more small streets with more bars, hotels, some love hotels, and host clubs. Some restaurants too. Yep. But the Hotel Graceries here, you can walk around behind it as in the games, where there's more back here. I didn't find the men's entertainment box. I didn't point it out. Infomen is in Sotenbori, and that, again, with the rotation, is in its proper place in Dotonbori, so just to reference that. Sorry, I kind of want to focus on the big guy here because I don't want it to be a problem. Oi. Alright. Anyway, how did I get to Purgatory? Good question. Don't forget, Purgatory doesn't exist in the Dragon Engine, so you're on your own, dang it. So, this is real. Theater Square right here. I mean, it's not called Theater Square, but this square right here is pretty real, and it's almost exactly to scale, I would say. It's just about as big, which doesn't look that big, and that's probably the case too, but I will say when I went there, for the most part, it's usually roped off. I think they have, like, specific events that go on here that are, whatever they got scheduled, so they don't really want people wandering around. Let's see. This big empty space right in front of me is Kabukicho Tower. That is a thing that exists. It has businesses, it has malls, it has hotels in it, stores and the like. Here's the Appa Hotel. It's SFT Village in here, but it was Appa Hotel in Yakuza 6. That Appa Hotel is right here. What about around this corner? Let's see. Ew! Come on, get closer. I don't have a eat. Alright, so, looking south, I don't think it's very distinct in Lost Judgment, but it was far more distinct in Yakuza Like a Dragon. There is E-Space here. This is a massive, massive patchy slot area. That is right exactly where it is in Kabukicho as well, which I kind of find kind of funny. But yeah, Kamurocho ends here, but Kabukicho extends just a little bit further, and then there's more Shinjuku past this as well, where again, restaurants, stores, souvenirs, bars, etc., etc., same as you'd expect in any other part of the district. I didn't really find anything that equates to Children's Park over here. There's probably got to be something like that somewhere, but I did not find it. It could be further north in the Okubo region. But I'll tell you one thing that definitely is in Kabukicho. The Shinjuku Batting Center It's a little shorter than this, but these kind of weird red block letters, that is exactly how Shinjuku Batting Center works. And this sliding door is here, and this little entry area is here, and there's a bunch of arcade games here, and there are bathrooms in this exact spot. I think the only thing that doesn't exist in the Shinjuku Batting Center is this little side hallway. But actually, I don't think these benches are here, and it's a little thinner too. But yeah, you just go right in and pick a spot and feed the machine to feed your 400 yen, and you can do batting cages stuff. There are some attendants over here, but I didn't bother them, so I didn't get much info out of them. But yeah, batting center super exists. I gave it a couple of shots. Oh, question: did I see the Majima vending machine? There's a Majima vending machine right here at the Shinjuku Batting Center. It's right here. I did see the Majima vending machine, and I picked up a what did I do? I think I picked up like a keychain, because there are some keychains you can buy in the vending machine. And you'll get a random one, but it's going to be a store in Kamurocho. So the one I got was Bantam, the Irish bar over here. I got a keychain from Bantam, which is cute. Also, let's see. Over here is a Gigo. And over here used to be a Club Sega, but now it's just like a one-floor arcade that I can't even remember the name of. But here is where the Saejima and Daigo vending machines are. And there's also a Kiryu vending machine, and it's down here between Central and Sakura-dori. I hit up the... What did I hit up? I think I hit up the Saejima one and tried to get like a charm, and I ended up getting Kanda. Which I don't think anyone wants Kanda, but I got him. Great, huh? So those are the vending machines. There was also an Ichiban vending machine at one point. I was told it was in a karaoke con. There's the karaoke con right here, but I couldn't find it. It might have been removed because, well, Ichiban hasn't been star of a game in a few years now, so... Yeah. You sent your friend to the Majima vending machine, but it wasn't there when he visited. That's interesting. But yeah, no, well, I'll say right now, outside the batting center, right here, is the Majima vending machine. It's purple. It's got Majima on it. You can buy t-shirts. You can buy charms. You can buy coins. Usually it's going to be a random generated something of each type. You just pick the type, pay the money, you'll get the random one that you could possibly get. And there are things like pouches, too. I didn't want to break the bank on this stuff, because I knew I was going to the Sega store. So I decided not to, spend too much money on these random thingies. So that's basically Tokyo. So before I go talking about the rest of Tokyo, I'm going to head over to Yokohama. Because I spent a day, early part of the day into the afternoon in Yokohama checking that place out. So, the thing about Yokohama is, compared to, say, Kamurocho and Sotenbori, where they're almost equivalent, this is massively scaled down. If you want to hit all the spots that are representative in Ijincho, in real-life Yokohama, you're going to be doing some walking. You're going to be doing a lot of walking or bus riding. So, yeah, I basically kept to more or less what I felt were the highlights of Yokohama. So one thing I definitely went to was here. This is the Isezaki Mall. Not the Isezaki Road, the Isezaki Mall. And this is basically as you see it. It is a line of walkable space with stores on either side. I will say that the alleys that branch off look kind of shady. I didn't really want to explore them too much. This was a rainy day when I visited Yokohama, so I didn't want to go bopping around too much. But yeah, Isezaki Mall just goes straight down here. And it's interesting, too, because Isezaki Road branches off to the side here. That doesn't happen in Yokohama. It's just one long stretch of this, basically. Shops, restaurants, bookstores, what have you, will all show up there. But yeah, I checked out Isezaki Mall. And then where did I go next? Well, I had to go next to the park. And I'll tell you, I'm here to tell you, folks, they put in their homework. They did their homework on this one, because this shit is almost one-to-one. and that's almost size-like as well. Like this area, there's got the little gazebo right here. They've got this building over here. So this is a restaurant called the Wharf House, WHRF Wharf House. And that's a restaurant you can go to. I didn't see any parked trucks, but then again, it was raining, so there's a good chance like any kind of stuff that was going on in the park was not happening. But the real life name for this one is Yamashita Park. But yeah, all these little tree areas, all these little walkable areas, these trellises right here, they exist. They're real. These bathrooms over here, they're real. I used them. I needed to use a bathroom, and there was one available in Yamashita Park, so I went to that bathroom. There was toilet paper, but there was no washing up afterwards. They tend not to put paper towels in the bathrooms. They'll put toilet paper in there so you have something to take care of your butt, but they won't put paper towels. This statue's here, the Guardian of Water. There's a little plaque here indicating it. It was actually a gift from San Diego. I did not know that. This was the statue here was a gift from America. But yeah, this is the Guardian of Water statue. These trellises are here. I don't recall seeing this though. I think this what was also Dragon Cart, but is also I think this might be actually over here on the left rather than right in front of you here, where most of the port ships are docked and everything. And also, back when the Gundam existed in Yokohama, it was over here, but that's been gone for years now. Yep, lack of soap and paper towels. Very important thing to understand you're going to be dealing with when exploring Japan. But after I got my full of Yamashita Park, I headed to the south, because I had to see that other thing. You know what I'm talking about. Skateboard on the road so we can get there. I had to check out Chinatown. Chinatown is real. It exists. It's not quite in this shape though. It's kind of like more in a crooked. It's a bit more of a crooked walkway shape. It's hard to describe. You can look at it on a map or something, but it's not quite the shape here. But you know what exists? This thing right here. This exists. These bathrooms right here totally exist. I didn't go in there to check if there was a casino in the back, but I'm pretty sure there isn't. But yeah, Chinatown is really a lot of this. It is very, gates leading to the walkable areas, stylized roofs and awnings and eaves. I didn't see this dragon. It might have been just a matter of season, or it might be because it was raining, but that dragon did not exist when I was walking around. The problem too with Chinatown, especially on a rainy day, was it was still quite populated too, because I think school was out actually when I went. I went near the end of March, and I feel like school is out between grades for like a week. So I think the students were all on the beach, and umbrellas open everywhere, which makes it difficult to get around. But yeah, Chinatown kind of covers this area too, so yeah. Other than that, there's a bar district too right near the river. I didn't check it out, have the time to check it out though. And I didn't look for like any batting center or anything like that. Mostly where I went to was Isazaki Mall, Yamashita Park, Chinatown, and then at my friend's request, I checked out the Bunshin Tattoo Museum. A very small museum, but it is a museum that operates for 4 hours on weekdays and weekends, and basically it is a personal collection of, if you're familiar with tattoo artist, Hideyoshi III is a very, very, very famous tattoo artist in Japan, and he has his own little private collection. It basically just fills up a couple of rooms on the first floor of an area with a tattoo parlor. It's a very cramped space, actually. You kind of have to duck and weave to get around the various exhibits, which are, just kind of like stacked up on the walls. They're put in display cases, some of them, but some of them are just, put on the tops of things or stacked on the ground and stuff. And what you'll see is like examples of tattoos, old documents and books that reference tattoos, not just from Japan, but also Southeast Asia, various island nations, some Western tattoos as well. It was a cute little place to spend like maybe 20 minutes to kind of wander around and check it out. it's funny too because I went, about 10 minutes after they opened, but couldn't actually get in. I even went up to the tattoo parlor upstairs and asked, and they said, "Yeah, yeah, just knock on the door downstairs." But no one responded to knocking on the door. So what did I do? I waited in that little spot for maybe about 20 minutes. And said I was going to give it till about half past. And then a lady walks in and is like, "Oh, you wanted to go to the tattoo museum?" I'm like, "Yeah, if I could." And she let me in. I paid the little fee to get in. It was a tiny little door that gets you in there too. But yeah, Bunshin Tattoo Museum has a lot of neat examples of really, really elaborate Irizumi tattoos. Very cool place to stop just for a bit. But yeah, that was basically my trip to Yokohama. Again, it was a rainy day, and I was tired and hurting, so I didn't want to be, going exploring the myriad streets and interconnecting, walkways of Yokohama, because it is basically, once you blow it back up and not have this major scrunch down, it is basically just a city on a grid, just like any other, with businesses, shops, etc. There are parts that are just kind of basic when it comes to things to see. But there are other places that I didn't actually go to that I probably could have. Maybe next time I'll stop by. It's one of those things too. It's like after I got back, I was checking like on Reddit, and people were talking like, "Oh, you should go to this when you're here." And I was like, "Damn it! If I'd read this thread earlier, I would have had some information." But oh well. So let's quick head back to Tokyo. Let's head back to Kamurocho. By the way, in real life, this is about an hour ride on a train. Yokohama is well south of Tokyo, and if you're going to get on a train to get there, you're going to be on it for, an hour all told, probably, as you go between your different lines. But the actual run from Tokyo on a single train to Yokohama is about 40 minutes. So really, you're clocking a whole hour to get there. But it's certainly reachable. It's not like Osaka, which is like 2.5 hours away by Shinkansen. Anyway, we're back in Tokyo. We're back in Kabukicho, and or Kamurocho, whichever one you want to call it. What else was going on in Tokyo? Well, I went to a whole bunch of other districts too. I went to Akihabara. You kind of have to if you're any kind of an anime or video game fan. So I went to Akihabara, which from here is much further out to the east, about 20 minutes east. The way they kind of describe it when you're exploring around Tokyo is you can either easily get to places from the west side or from the east side, where the Imperial Palace kind of occupies the very center of the city. But Shinjuku's on the west side, so it's easy to get to places on the west side from here. But if you're on the east side, those easier to connect to, and usually it's like a crossover that takes like an extra 15 or 20 minutes to add on to your travel time. So, on the east side, what did I do? I think all I really checked out on the east side was like Tokyo Station and Akihabara, which of course is where all the anime stuff is, all the maid cafe stuff is. There was a nice big Kotobukiya there, and that is where I picked up the majority of my Hololive merchandise when I was there. But as far as the east is concerned, I really didn't do that much. Most of my Tokyo time was spent on the west side, because that is where Shibuya is, which in Shibuya is where the Sega store is. The Sega store is in Shibuya in the Parco building, if you're looking for it. It's on the 6th floor. On the 6th floor are a bunch of very specific anime or video game stores. So there is a sizable Nintendo store, there's a Pokemon Center, there is a store for Capcom games, there is a store for One Piece, there's a store for JoJo, and there's the Sega store. And the Sega store is where you find, stuff for Atlas games, Sonic games, and there is a not completely modest, like a dragon section. So there I got the crap. I can't remember the name of the figure line. It's the figure line it's not the super fancy ones, but it's the ones that are like about 8 inches tall figures that fit, on your shelf, but not really in a small location. But I picked up. I think it starts with a D. Help me out if you guys are in the chat or trying to or remembering it, but. Yeah, I got 2 sizable figures. I got one of Ichiban, and I got one of Majima with his jacket off, which is basically his fighting Majima one. So I got that. I also got a Nendroid, the latest Nendroid of Majima, which includes his Majima Construction helmet. Dig Star, thank you. Dig Star is the figures that I got at Ichiban and Majima. So I picked that up. I picked up the Nendroid. I also got a couple of pairs of socks. They're Infinite Wealth socks, so it's one of Ichiban and one of Infinite Wealth Kiryu. Did that. I also picked up an acrylic art of Metaphor Refantasio. There wasn't much Metaphor art there, Metaphor merchandise there, but Metaphor was kind of my game of the year 2024. I really liked it, so I kind of wanted to have a little something to remember it by. So I bought a little acrylic art. It's about 6 inches by 8 inches, and it's just going to go up on a stand on my shelf. But it's the the big group shot of all the characters with Louis Guibern looking over from the top, kind of thing. I bought that. I'm trying to think. There was a couple other things I was kind of looking at to possibly get. There was the for those of you who remember Nishida in Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii. He has a new fleece, I guess you'd say, the Majima Construction fleece that is gray. They were selling that fleece. Unfortunately, I was looking at the sizes, and I'm like, this is not going to fit me, unfortunately. They don't sell anything bigger than an XL. And unfortunately, in Japan, an XL is more or less an L in Western terms. And I am, at best, a double XL West. So, unfortunately, I was not able to buy much in the way of clothes. Bummer on that. They also had, it's funny, I was considering the idea, but I don't know if it was too feminine of me to get, what is essentially a pouch purse that has Majima Construction logoing and branding on it. I almost got that, and then I chickened out at the last second. But, yeah, that was Shibuya. I didn't really do much else in Shibuya except hit the Sega store because, again, at the end of the day, there's a lot of stuff that you are going to already find in other districts. There's a Donkey, there's an arcade, there's an anime store. You're going to find a lot of the same stuff. When you're going to individual districts, you're usually looking for something very specific that you can't find anywhere else. So yeah, spent a little time in Shibuya. I will say, too, in my desperate efforts to attempt to find Hololive merch, I was actually suggested to try Nakano. So Nakano is a little further out from the west from Shinjuku, and it is home to what is called Nakano Broadway, which is a mall, but it is a mall that is actually somewhat trapped in time, like 70s or 80s. Because, sure, the main drag of the mall, the first floor, looks pretty modern and stuff, but as soon as you start going upstairs or downstairs to other floors, you get almost claustrophobic small hallways leading between stores that are basically carrying a bunch of secondhand goods. A lot of them Western, but some of them local as well. But it's your toys, your model cars. There are a lot of watch shops in Nakano Broadway. So yeah, Brain Chan in the chat is talking about Nakano Broadway. They're saying it's awesome. It is, yeah. For someone who was looking for Hololive merch and not finding a single bit, it was a little bit frustrating. But the trawl around itself and checking things out was actually kind of cool. But again, I was on the hunt for something specific, and I only had so much space to pack into, so I didn't really want to be hunting around for things that would, fill up my luggage. Also, too, if you're shopping at these kind of figure places, then you are going to run into the problem of probably being overcharged. So, yeah, Nakano Broadway was cool to walk around in, but that was about it. Was that 1960s bar still there? I'm not entirely sure. There were some bars set up there. There were bars, there were massage places, there were small restaurants. But yeah, the thing about Nakano Broadway is those hallways are super claustrophobic to walk around in. You can easily get lost in there too. But yeah, so that was my trip to Nakano. Also made a couple of trips up north from Shinjuku to Ikebukuro. Ikebukuro is a flashy, fancy place that is kind of, modern and has a lot of modern taste to it. There's fashion there. There's anime stuff there too. There's restaurants. But my main reason for going to Ikebukuro was to visit the Muscle Girls bar. So I had reserved like some month prior my spot at the Muscle Girls Bar. If you want to check it out, I would suggest reserving early, before your trip, so you can get a spot. But the idea is that it is pretty much similar to your average girls' bar in real life, and then real life in your basic one, in that you are paired up with someone who's basically going to be your hostess and take care of you. But obviously, the distinction with Muscle Girls Bar is that they are all jacked to hell. And everything that goes on, all the activities, is focused around, muscles and gains and working out. So I'm not the one to heavy workout, but there are you pay your cover to get in. You pay when you book, obviously, but you pay the cover to get in. You go in for a set time, and it's basically like 90-minute blocks where people go in and go out, and it's almost a scripted experience in a way, because you start up, you chat with your hostess, and then maybe about 20 minutes in, there is the excuse me, there is the event that where they squeeze grapefruits with their bare hands. I say bare hands. They put on little plastic gloves, but they squeeze grapefruits into your juice glass. They muscle their way through the grapefruits, and then they do this little dance routine where they are doing their muscle flexing and posing and all that. And there are poles for pole dancers. There are a couple of them who are into pole dancing, so they were kind of spinning about in the pole dance. And of course, there's also, in addition to your cover, there's extra stuff you can purchase, extra services. There's even a menu you can pull off of. And there is the service whereby you can get what is called a muscle shot, which is basically a combination of tequila, some other kind of liquor, some energy drink, and something like that. But basically, you're supposed to go mouth up on the bar and get it squirted into you from long range. I avoided that. I wasn't looking to get super plastered, and it didn't look all that appetizing, to be honest. But most of my time was spent chatting. I was paired up with Tomo. So for any of you who go to the Muscle Girls Bar, Tomo is a long timer there. She's been there about 4 years now. So she is a mainstay at the Muscle Girl Bar. But yeah, we got talking, like, she's. It's interesting too. Like, a lot of the people at the Muscle Girl Bar, you can tell, and they will tell you too, that not all of them are some of them are native Japanese, but not all of them spent time. Some of them spent some formative time like abroad too as well. So for example, Tomo spent a lot of time in Argentina, so like when she was growing up. And others are from like China and some other Eastern areas as well. I don't know if there were any that were like Japanese American. I obviously didn't get a chance to talk to all of them, but yeah, there's definitely a confidence in these ladies, in their fitness, and a carriage that is not typical to what you expect when talking to a Japanese woman. So they do their little routines as well. There are other kinds of services you can buy. So the services I purchased a photo with Tomo. So that I posted up on Twitter. And I also purchased the Getting Slapped. So you can spend 10,000 yen, and your hostess will sit you down and slap the hell out of you. And I can only speak for Tomo, but she does not hold back. she gives it to you hard. I was a little bit rattled. You can see the results of that on Twitter. I posted a video of me getting slapped. One of the other ladies was kind enough to take the video. But yeah, that was quite the experience. Definitely one I'd want to take friends to at some point, just introduce them to it and get involved as well. But it's a lively showing, and like I said, a lot of scripting elements, a lot of fast pace. So it's not like you're just sitting there not knowing what to do next. You're drinking, you're chatting, and you're getting involved in the services or watching other people get involved with the services as well. So all kinds of cool stuff. So yeah, that was the main reason I went to Ikebukuro, but like I also checked out some other things there as well. Like I went to my first Jonathan's when I was at Ikebukuro. I don't know if any of you are familiar with Jonathan's, but it's basically a family-style restaurant, but it's got a very much Western vibe to it, even though it technically has mostly Japanese fare. But the steak they have there, that Misugi steak they have, is really good. I was quite impressed with the food they prep there. So if you guys want to check out something that's not Japanese strictly when you're over in Japan, check out Jonathan's. They're all over the place. I just went to the one in Ikebukuro. I will say that Jonathan's. I was checking them out later to see if I want to stop by again, but during the majority of the day, Jonathan's is actually extremely busy, and you are likely going to be waiting for a good 30 or 45 minutes to actually get a seat. Good news is, though, if you're traveling solo, they have little solo booths for individuals. So I got put in a solo booth next to the other anime freaks, and we got to. I didn't obviously chat with them, try to bother them or anything, but we got our own little cubicles for eating our food. But yeah, Jonathan's is great. What else did I have? I did have ramen. There's a ramen place out here in West Shinjuku. Pretty nice stuff. I named it on Twitter. I forgot the actual name off the top of my head. Let's see. Right here is a Krispy Kreme. Don't know what else to do with that information, but there's a Krispy Kreme right there. There is. Oh yeah. Near Cafe Alps does not exist. Obviously, Cafe Alps is meant to represent like a bunch of different types of cafes that exist, whether old or new. But right next to Cafe Alps here is this place right here. Oh, sorry, no, Cafe Alps, right here. Okay, the Italian place. There's a Miami Garden, which is an Italian place. That is an Italian chain. That is right here. Red, white, and green festoonery and all that. This obviously has the Cucina Deliziosa, but yeah, in real life, there's a Miami Garden here. Yep, again, real life, that's a donkey. That's not a police station. This thing's here, but it's a little bit different. The rocks are like actually organized on the left. Gosh, is there anything else? I think that's getting up to most of it. I mean, I did a few other things, but when it comes to relating Like a Dragon and that kind of stuff, over here is where the Kiryu vending machine was. There's actually another karaoke con over here. So that might have been the one that had the Ichiban, but I did do Karaoke Con once, but since I was alone, it wasn't really as much fun doing it by myself. But I was able to find and go through the Like a Dragon tunes, at least. So that's how I spent my hour, pretty much. But I will say, though, they do not help you with lyrics. You either need to know your Japanese characters or know the songs really well, because there's no English option for singing the Like a Dragon tunes. Also, too, if you're going to search for the Like a Dragon tunes, search by the character who sings the song, not the composer. I was searching by composer for like 10 minutes, looking through like Zenta and Shoji and Ryusuke Hori, and it's like, no, they don't organize by that. You have to search for Kiryu Kazuma, you have to search for Majima Goro, you have to search for Katsuki Ichiban if you want to get all their songs. Because of course, why would they make it, real life when it can be fake or anything? So, notes on karaoke there. Print out Romaji ahead of time for the songs. Yeah, that's a pretty handy tip. Otherwise, you're just going to be using whatever kind of little information you have. Thanks for the gold plate, lady. Oh, here we go. A big sign that says karaoke at the end of the thing. This is basically where the karaoke con is, over on this side here. This side of Kabukicho. But yeah. That was a great trip. I would definitely do it again, but I'd much rather do it with friends or family. Going again by myself, I'd probably not enjoy, because, I did all the things I'd want to do by myself going there. So I just do the same things, or just kind of flounder trying to find other stuff. So one thing I definitely didn't do, I mean, most of my focus of my trip was city life stuff. I very rarely went out to any kind of nature kind of thing, so that might be for the future. Like, I didn't hit Asakusa. I didn't hit, I didn't hit Odaiba either. I was thinking of hitting Odaiba, but that's very amusement parky. But I was told there's, like, an Ace Attorney escape room game there, too, as well. I kind of want to check that out next time, though. Okay, so I think that should cover just about everything I wanted to talk about for my Japan trip, and we are just about at halfway through the stream anyway, so I think this is a good time to at least, I'm going to basically cut the video here. I'm not going to cut the stream, but I'm going to cut the video in half, just stop over and quick back, and then we will resume actual playing Lost Judgment. So, for those of you who came by just for the Japan trip information, thanks for stopping by, and stick around for more Lost Judgment.